Welcome back. So we were talking before the break about airports and you know, flights and the people you meet and what their stories might be. And I had asked Susie if you'd ever like learned a story that somebody shared with you that kind of changed your life, and you shared one. And I remember this past summer, I was on a flight to Mexico. I decided I was having like a little bit of a midlife crisis, and I decided that, yes, I was really. And I decided that I was going to go to Mexico, and I was going to go for 3 weeks. And it was after I was no longer working at CBS 11. And I wasn't sure where I was going to go next. And I thought, I'm going to take 3 weeks. I'm going to go through this immersion program to learn Spanish in Mexico.
Were you by yourself?
It was all by myself. So I got there. I was terrified. These men kind of followed me. I was walking down the street to try to find where the school was after I checked into the hotel. And they were like kind of harassing me a little bit. And I thought, what the hell am I doing? I'm all by myself. You know, I don't know the language. I'm here to learn it. But anyway, I ended up flying back home 24 hours later. But on the flight back home, you know, I was in the airport, and I was thinking on the whole flight, like kind of feeling sorry for myself. And I'm like, you know, I'm scared and I'm lost, and I really don't know what the next step is going to be. And it's even scarier when you're at this point in your life, you know, at this age, and you know, it's very different than being lost in your 20s. And there was a gentleman behind me, and he said hello out of the blue. And I'm thinking, oh God, I really just don't want to talk to anybody right now. You know, I'm just don't want to be friendly right now. And he kept talking to me, and he was telling me, he said, I'm so sorry. He said, you look just like my daughter. I thought, oh, that's nice. And he started telling me a story, and what he said to me was so out of the blue, and I really am a true believer in sometimes you're just meant to hear something. And he said something about flying and being a fear of flying. And I said, yeah, you know, my mom's scared of flying too. And he said, yeah, but you know, some fears are not important, and some fears are real fears. And I thought about what he said, and I was like, okay, I hear you. Like, tell me what you need to tell me. So he goes on and he tells me a story about when he served in the military, and his job was to go in and clean up the bodies. His job was to go in when there had been a roadside bomb or there had been some sort of an attack. He was part of the crew that would go in and clean up body parts and put them in bags and clean up the mess. And he said, until you're in that situation, you really don't understand what fear is, because you feel the fear that all these people felt when they
Went in.
Yeah.
When they went in.
When they went in and when they didn't come back out. And he said it's the fear of feeling all those people's fear when they're dying is like, you really understand what fear is.
And compassion.
Well, compassion too, but he was talking about fear, and he said, you know, it really changed my whole outlook on life. He said, there's very few things I'm afraid of now. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, you know, have a great flight, really nice talking to you. And I was just like, what? Like, it changed my whole perception of everything. And right at that moment, and it reminded me of a book I read long ago called The Celestine Prophecy, and it talks about how nothing happens by accident, and everything is there's no such thing as a coincidence, and perhaps every person you meet holds some sort of message to get you.
As you hold some sort of message for them.
Yeah.
See, it's not, it's reciprocal,
mm-hmm.
but because we're all meant to be together, and we're all meant to be united together. Yeah. So even when the message is not one you want to hear, it means that you needed to hear it for some reason.
And the key is
Celestine Prophecy
is a phenomenal book.
It's by Redfern,
Redfield, James
yes.
Redfield. Amazing
Try
book.
that book out, by the way. It just is a phenomenal book.
I read it in my 20s, and if you've never read it, you really should. But I think it just reminded me that in every meeting with a person, there's maybe a message that you need to hear, but you just have to be open to it. And so I try really hard now to like stay open to, you know, meeting new people and what they have to say and their stories, and inevitably there's something I think to learn in all of it.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad you told us that.
Yeah. That's a Susie story.
No, that's